Hey there, it's Winning Wednesday, and today we're going to talk about, do you want to have a problem or solve a problem? Because lots of times people say they want to solve a problem, but their actions are actually continuing the problem or creating the problem. So that's what we're going to deal with today. And I'm going to teach you 5 valuable steps. So let me switch this a little. I'm going to teach you 5 valuable steps that can help you solve things quicker. Hey, Pat, good to have you on. So, oh, and by the way, I'm Sue Yelvington. Hey, Cheryl. I work with women. Hey, Suzanne, I'm glad you're here. I work with women who are feeling stuck. They know they need to make a change. Good morning, Josette. Wow, I love that y'all are on here with me. Thank you. Women that are feeling kind of blah and stuck and they're stagnant and they know they need to make a change because they want something more. Don't we all want to live life fully? But you've got this hang up, this thing that's stopping you. Thanks, Cheryl. It's been a while since we've talked. You just made my day, girl. Hey, Sarah. So, they know they need to be uplifted. They know they need a new way of being. And yet, and we all get there, right? We all get stuck at one time or another and don't really know what to do to get out of it. So I help people bring their dreams to life. And why? Because I want to bring my dreams to life. So I want to take you with me and let's have some fun. So, oh, and if you're on the replay, that's really cool. I do come back and check periodically. So if you have any questions, I love questions, comments. I love hearts and likes. Feedback keeps me going. And I love the messages y'all send me. So thank you very much. Okay, so what do we do when we have a problem? We complain, right? And then somehow psychologically we think that if we complain, somebody's going to step in and fix it, which is ridiculous because what you think about, you bring about. So all you're doing is creating a bigger problem for yourself. In fact, I love this. I love mantras. I love simple little truths that help us keep on track. So whoever complains owns the problem. Years ago, I started a women's group when we were all having babies and dealing with, new husbands and all that kind of thing. And one of the women, I'm giving her suggestions on things that she can do. She goes, well, why do I have to do it? He's the one that does this. Well, you have to do it because he's not complaining. What he's doing is working for you, but it's not working. What he's doing is working for him, but it's not working for you. And if you want to stay happily married, you got to find a solution. And, one of the things, and I don't have a good example of this, but I know I've been guilty of it in the past, is sometimes we find creative ways of complaining that don't overtly look like we're complaining. It looks like we're seeking a solution, but we're really not. We're just, doing that mouth music thing. So the question you want to ask yourself is, do I want to be a complainer or do I want to be happy? And then if you really want to be happy, then you need to find some way of resolving it. And the key is that you only really have 3 choices. You can accept it, you can reject it, or you can negotiate it. If the person, hey Shannon, I'm glad you're here. It's been a long time. If the person you're having the issue with refuses to negotiate, then you've only got 2 choices. You accept it or you reject it, and you find a way to make it happen. So what's the first step? The first step is number 1. And I love this because when you point your finger at someone else, 3 fingers are pointing back at you. It says more about you than it says about them. So what is my part in it? What am I doing that contributes to this? Also, how does it make me feel? What is this doing? Okay. We can't always control what happens to us, but we can control whether or not we react or respond. And in the beginning you can't. It's like a knee-jerk reaction. That thing gets you. And it's so much of what we're reacting to is actually childhood stuff. Things that happened in childhood. When you're 7 and under, stuff goes in with no filter. So they can feed you the most BS in the world. They can tell you that red is green and you will believe it because it goes in without a filter. So you need to pay attention. Well, if you want peace in your life, if you want to resolve conflict, you have to pay attention to how it feels and what is your part in it. It's so funny when I forget to turn off notifications. I don't know how. I got to figure out how to turn off notifications. I'm afraid if I turn them off, I won't get them back on. So anyway, okay, so what's my part in it? How am I reacting? And I love this story. There were two monks. This is back in the day. Okay, they were two monks walking down the path, and they came across a huge puddle. And this is back when men and women are separate, and monks weren't supposed to be around women and all that kind of thing. Okay, so they came across this big puddle, and there was a woman there unable to cross because she didn't have what it took or whatever. So the one monk picked her up and carried her across the puddle so she could get to the other side, and he set her down, and they kept walking, and they walk a considerable distance. And the one monk who didn't lift the woman said to the other, "I can't believe you carried that woman." And the monk who carried her said, "I can't believe you're still carrying that. That was 5 miles back." Okay? So what are you carrying from the past? Hi, Kathy. I don't think we've met yet. I'm glad you're here. So what are you carrying from the past, and how is that influencing your part in it? What beliefs do you have? What emotions do it trigger? Does it trigger for you? And I'm not going to tell the story because I don't want to go on too long, but I have this story of, oh my gosh, I was so triggered, I thought I was crazy. And the person I was having the fight with, I'm going to tell you the story, thought I was crazy too. I was so mad I was spitting. And I mean, literally, as I was just out of control. And there was a part of my brain that knew I was out of control. And when he said it to me, I knew it, but I could not stop myself because the reaction was so strong. So when the incident was over, I asked, like, where did that come from? 3 days later, and see, here's the key. If you ask the right question, the answer will show up, but you got to pay attention to it. You got to pay attention so that you see it when it comes to you. So the answer showed up, and what happened was a series of memories going back in time where I was dismissed and pushed aside. I didn't matter. Someone overrode me in a big way. And so in this conversation that I was so spitting mad about, that's how I felt. And as soon as I was able to identify that, I was able to go back to my partner and tell that story and ask for what I wanted. And what I wanted was, if you need time out from this conversation, whatever, heated conversation, ask me, tell me that that's what you're going to do. And then you have the courtesy to bring it up later so that I don't have to work up my courage. Because who wants to bring up a potentially unpleasant conversation? And yet you have to if you want resolution. And he honored me with that. And it solved the problem. I've never been spitting mad since. I'm happy to say. So number 1 is, what is my part in it? Number 2, how am I contributing to the problem? Are you doing too much? Are you rescuing? Are you ignoring too often? Are you putting up with something? Because if you're putting up with something, that is actually rejecting. Okay? Putting up with is worse than, hi, Anthony. Putting up with something is, it's like a slow leak in your tire. You're better off to deal with it. And I'm going to talk about how to deal with it a little bit. We're not going to go in super depth with it today. But ask yourself, how am I contributing to this problem? And then number 3, what are some things that I can do? What can I do differently than what I'm doing now? Because so often the reason we're putting up with this shit is because we don't know how to handle it. We don't know that there's other choices because we get so locked in. And that also is part of our childhood and past conditioning, is that we are taught from our folks and our extended family, and then we're taught by teachers and religious leaders and whatever, how to handle certain situations. That doesn't mean that because we learned them that that they are effective, that they work. So in my family growing up, yelling was allowed. In fact, yelling was way safer than being vulnerable. So I had to really work to not be a yeller. And I'm not saying I'm never a yeller, because sometimes I still am. But I really try not to. That's not who I want to be, and it doesn't work. Okay? So the first thing you want to do is, what are some things I can do? And brainstorm. And if you don't already know this, when you're brainstorming, you don't say no to any idea. You write down every idea, because you never know when this idea that's a bad one will lead you to this idea that's a good one. Seek solutions. And what I see too much of, I just witnessed this on a Facebook page where one woman judged and berated some other women. And then the women that were telling her she shouldn't do that were judging and berating her. You don't want to do that. You don't want to have win-lose, right-wrong. There's often no such thing as right or wrong. And if you look at our laws, you'll see that that's true. Because things that used to be legal or illegal are now the opposite. So right and wrong is a moving scale depending on so many variables. How can you create a win-win situation? And if you enter the dialogue, not the argument, don't seek an argument, seek a dialogue, seek understanding. And often, I know when I'm upset, hi Anna, I know when I'm upset, and I would love to know what y'all think of this. I love comments. Sometimes I don't know how to start because I'm so angry that I want to lash out. And so I will sometimes reach out to someone and get another perspective so that I can go into this dialogue as a dialogue. Yeah, I will. You know what? I'll message you, Kathy. That's a really good question. Okay, so how do go into this with a win-win? How can you get what you want and I get what I want? Or and maybe we do half and half or whatever. There's a lot of different ways to make it happen. Okay. So that was number 4. So we have number 1, what's my part in this? Number 2, how am I contributing to the problem? Number 3, what are some things I can do? Number 4, hi Lynn. Attorneys have to do this, right? Seek resolution and do it from a standpoint of how can everybody win. And then number 5 is a technique. So often we go to somebody and say, you, and you're wrong. Okay, that doesn't work. But this simple little phrase, and maybe I should, I'm not going to do a tattoo, but I don't want a tattoo. But, you, I feel. So when you walk away from a heated conversation as if I don't matter, I feel like I don't matter. Okay? Who's going to argue with that? No one who cares about you wants you not to matter. Okay? And it actually is possible to change how you feel about things, but it isn't at first glance. Okay? It takes education. You have to be able to release this old stuff that is triggering you. And in case you don't know this one, the older it is, the more intense it is. So that screaming match where I was spitting mad, that was really old. The last memory I remembered as I was going through this memory, backwards memory thing, I was 16. And that was a long time ago. And you know that if you're feeling, I know, and I'm telling you, if you feel that strongly about it, it either was a really intense situation or it happened more than once. But so remember, I feel, okay? Oh, and by the way, I meant to do this, and I'll post it. I'm not really sure how to do this, actually, but I've started a group called Making Change Easy here on Facebook. It's bare bones right now, but I really want to help people make these changes that we need to make so that we can bring our gifts and talents to the world, because we are not ever, as a human being, you, me, any of us, we are not going to be genuinely happy unless we feel like we're playing full out. And we don't want to do that, slogging through mud, just putting one tired foot in front of the other, getting through, putting up with, and blocking ourselves. And the truth is, it's us blocking us, even if somebody's doing something that pisses us off. We are at cause, because remember, when you point your finger at someone else, 3 fingers point back. So, and here's the real deal. And this is a brain scramble. People don't have to change for you to feel good. Okay? They really don't. And they aren't going to unless they want to. You cannot make people change. You can encourage them, you can support them, you can ask for it, but it's their life to live as they choose, just as your life to live as you choose. And so you got to find a way to make peace and find a way to get what you want regardless of what someone else is doing. Whether that, I mean, if you're in an abusive situation, get the heck out, because you aren't going to change them staying there, and you can't change them when you're beat up and dead. And so, but you can change. And it's scary in that kind of a situation. A lot of these situations where we just decide that we just have to walk away, it is really scary to face the challenge of starting over. But you're not starting over at the beginning, unless you are 18 or 21 or whatever when you moved out. You're starting over with a knowledge base and a skill set that you didn't have when you were younger and littler. And so you're not really starting out at ground zero. Yes, you can lead the horse to water, but you can't make it drink. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. So, and sometimes you simply have to accept. If it's not really knocking you out of the game, if you can function, you just accept that's the way they are. I heard this, and I've shared this before, and I wish I could remember the guy's name. He was a coach. And Dr. Phil sort of said the same thing. Relationships aren't fixed, they're managed. And the coach that gave me this idea was that he was chronically early and she was chronically late. So if they were in town, he took the old car, left her the new car. She could drive separate, but it was important for him to be on time. If they were in a city where he was speaking in front of a group, obviously he's got to be on time. And so he'd call a cab for him and he'd call a cab for her, or she could call her own cab, whatever you decided to do with that. But solve the issue. Don't suck the life out of your life. And that's what I see too much of. And that's why I do what I do. So here's the real deal. You deserve to be happy. You can find joy even in the midst of change and turmoil. Joy is available to you at any moment. Hey, Joe. And when you clear up this stuff and you don't have all this old junk dragging you down, you're free. And how cool is that? And isn't that what we really want? Everything that we seek, it's because we think we're going to be happier for the having of it. Whether it's that thing, that new car, that new house, that new love, that weight release, someone changing their behavior, it's because we want to be happy. And you deserve to be happy, and you can find it. And I hope these strategies help you. So thank you for being here. Love, love, love your thoughts, your feedback, your likes, your comments. Love that you're on here with me. I really appreciate that. And I hope you'll head on over to Making Change Easy, and I'll post the link. I think I forgot to do that the other day. It's a safe place to explore change and get support. It is not for people that want to chronically complain. You do get to vent. Yes, you can get back to this video to rewatch it, and I think I can send you a link. I'm learning technology all the time, Cheryl, and sometimes I can't put it all together at once. But anyway, thank you all for being here. I hope this was valuable. If you think it was valuable and you know someone that might benefit, please share it, because this is important. I mean, you really cannot fully bring your gifts and talents to the table if you're holding yourself back with grudges and resentment and that sort of thing. So thanks for being here, and I'll see you over at Making Change Easy. Have a great day.